They asked me to give a talk, as you well remember, a few nights ago. But it was an amazing event that had taken place, and we had to talk about it. So we did. But then I had to leave, and I couldn't give you the talk that we promised. Now, tonight's the night, inshallah. You've been very patient. I want to tell you a story. The story of how priests and preachers enter Islam. It happened something like this. My father and I had a business in a mall some years ago. One day, Dad came to the house. He had a big house in the country, and he said, "You know, son, something amazing. We're going to be doing with a business with a man from Egypt." I said, "Well, that's great. Egypt, that's the land of the pyramids, the Nile River, Cleopatra, all that good stuff. This is exciting." Yep. So I said, "Well, when are we going to meet this guy?" He said, "Yeah, we're going to set it up, and we're going to have, a chance to get with him coming up. And he's a Muslim." I said, "A what? A Muslim? No, Dad, those guys, we don't do business with these people. No way. They're terrorists, hijackers, kidnappers, murderers. They don't believe in God. They worship a black box in the desert, and they kiss the ground 5 times a day. We don't need anything to do with no Muslims." My dad said, "I want you to meet him." I said, "No." He said, "Yes." I said, "I don't want to meet him." He said, "You will meet this man." So, well, I can't argue with that. So, all right, I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I do it on my terms. Here's what I want to do. I want to come to him on Sunday after church with my Bible and my born-again wife, who will be all prayed up. I'll have on my cross and my cap that says, "Jesus is Lord." And that's what we did. We went to church, heard a big sermon, heard somebody get the Holy Ghost, and somebody else translated what they were saying. I don't know if you know what that means. That means somebody is speaking in tongues. They don't know what they're saying, blah, 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 and then somebody else translates it for them. And that really happened just like that. And then after that, we said, "Boy, we're charged up. Let's go get this Muslim." We went into the store where my father's place was, and I was ready for this guy, and I expected to see, one of those guys with a big, coat on to the floor, and a big, turban on, and a long beard, and never mind. Anyway, and a sword. I was expecting like Ayatollah Khomeini or something, eyebrows that start here and go all the way across, really. Then my dad said, "Here he is." I said, "Where?" He said, "Here." I said, "This guy?" This guy's wearing normal clothes, And he doesn't have a beard. He didn't have any hair at all. He was bald-headed. So, "This is what a Muslim looks like?" He said, "Yeah." Okay. Shook hands with him. I was surprised. It was warm. He was human, I could feel warmth in that. Okay. So I'll be nice. "Hello, how are you? My name is Gev. What's your name?" "My name is Muhammad." "Okay, Muhammad, very nice to meet you. By the way, you believe in God?" He said, "Yes." "Yeah, but do you believe in the God of Abraham?" He said, "Yeah." Because, see, I had been studying up. I know something about these Muslims. "What about Moses? Do you believe in Moses?" He said, "Yeah." "How about David and Solomon?" He said, "Yeah." "But do you believe in the Bible? Do you believe in the Old Testament?" He said, "Yeah." "How about the New Testament?" He said, "Yeah." I said, "Wait a minute. Do you believe in Jesus?" He said, "Yeah." "No, I'm talking about, do you believe Jesus is a miracle birth?" "Yeah." "But you don't believe him as the risen Jesus?" He said, "Yeah, he's with God." I said, "Yeah." Wait a minute. This is going to be easy. This is going to be so easy, yes. So I told my dad, let's do business with this guy. We can convert him, no problem. My dad said, leave him alone. I said, no, We started doing business. We started traveling together, he and I. I began to observe his ways. I began to realize that he was a real decent person, a nice person, a fair person. In fact, we would have discussions, and I would purposely try to sneak things around in the talk, but he would just be straight and say, okay, whatever, and let it go. Say, this is going to be easy. At one point, a friend of mine that has a big cross, he has a huge wooden cross, and he carries it down the street from time to time. He'll go down the freeway. He'll go across the country just so people see him walking along with this big, huge cross. They'll stop and say, what is this? And then he'll start to preach to them, because he's a preacher too, you know. He'd give them these little miniature Bibles with just a few verses in it. Especially has the verse John 3:16, for God so loved the world, etc., etc. And this man with the cross, I told him, I've found a Muslim. He said, stop right there. Stay away from those guys. It's very dangerous. I said, yeah, but I think we can get him, I have some ideas about this. He said, well, just take it easy. He said, they don't really believe in anything. They're infidels. Okay. Then he had a heart attack and went to the hospital. When I went to visit him in the hospital, I met another man there. This man was a priest, a Catholic priest. And we became friends. When the Catholic priest was released from the hospital, we asked him to come and stay with us. And on the drive out to the country to my dad's house, the priest told me that he knew about Islam quite a bit, because he told me Catholic priests have to study all religions, especially they have to study Islam. I said, I didn't know that. He said, yes, we have to know about Islam. He said, these guys, they know about the Bible. They know about the New Testament. They know about the Psalms, and they know about Jesus, and they know a lot about our religion and their Quran. I said, really? He said, yeah, take it easy. I said, okay. I said, well, they don't really believe, right, do they? He said, you'd be surprised. He said, they really do have a lot going for them. I said, oh, okay. Now I've been warned about these guys. So I started again, trying to give the invitation to this gentleman to jump into our religion. Guess what he said? He said, well, I'll go to your religion if your religion is better than my religion. I said, this is great. Fill up the bathtub, we'll dunk him tonight, make him a Bible. Good to go. But then he threw something at me I wasn't ready for. He said, but you're going to need proof. I said, proof? Religion's not about proof. Religion is about faith. He said in Islam, we have both. We have proof and we have faith. Both. I said, okay. Are you trying to tell me you can prove there's a God? He said, yes. I said, no, I don't think so. Now look at this. A preacher arguing with somebody who wants to prove there's a God, saying, no, there isn't. Isn't proof, that is. And he's saying, yes, there is. Now I decided what we need to do is to gang up on him, because I wasn't a match for this guy. Just one-on-one, I need help. My dad's an ordained minister. He read the whole Bible by the time he was 10 years old. He had a certificate for that.